I wanted to focus on today's first reading from the first letter of John. Notice how he says, "Who is it that conquers the world but the one who believes that Jesus is the Son of God?" What does it mean to conquer the world? Recall St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians in chapter 6, where he points out that we are not contending against flesh and blood. In other words, we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, the world rulers of this present age. In other words, the demonic spirits. And these demonic spirits influence the world, influence people in the world, especially people in positions of authority, government, civil authority, sometimes even within the church. So this is to conquer the world means that we overcome their bad influence and can even conquer this bad influence in the world. And how do we do this? Well, notice how at the end St. John says that whoever has the Son has life. If we have the Son, it means we have eternal life within us. It means we're in a state of grace, basically. God is united within us, and God is united to us. And through the power of God in us, we are able to overcome the influence of the world upon us, but we're also able to overcome the influence of the world over the world itself. In other words, we can help people. So in other words, by our own personal sanctity, by our own personal holiness. But the problem is it's not just for ourselves. We need to get others to do the same. So in other words, it's kind of like, if you think of how St. John points out earlier that, there's this kingdom of Satan on the one hand and the kingdom of Christ on the other hand. And it's a battle between both, but he points out that Christ is victorious, so Christ has won the victory already, but we are still in the battle. You and I, we're still in this battle, and we're the prize. So if we are united to Christ, we will be victorious. However, this battle goes on, and we want to help others in this battle also. How do we do that? By our personal sanctity, by our personal witness, by the example that we give, but also by spreading the faith. This is so important. In other words, why is evil, getting out of hand in today's society? And it is getting out of hand. And, it depends what kind of news you're reading, but I just saw an article where it mentioned that, all these pro-LGBTQ people were complaining that the government in some state was passing a law that you can't, what's it called, when somebody is preparing a child to sexually abuse a child, so that you can't do that, right? And they were protesting against this. Imagine that. They're coming out in the public and saying, no, we want to be able to do that. And there's groups that have indicated that they're in favor of, reducing the age of consent so that adults can have sexual relations with very young children. Like, this is bizarre. This is totally evil. And there's satanic clubs in schools, in public schools, and after school programs, and one of them is like, satanic clubs. Like, this is really getting out of hand, and people just don't realize how evil it is. Now, statistics show the number of people coming to church is declining. The number of atheists is increasing. So in other words, we aren't stepping up to the mark. We're not united. We're not doing what we should be doing. We're not being vocal. All of those other people, those minorities, they're very vocal, and they're getting their way. Why? Because we're letting them get their way. We're not doing anything to oppose it. We're not united. So yes, we have overcome the world. That is true, but there are many people who have not overcome the world, and the world is overcoming them. And what my point when I began was that it's not just people who have wrong ideas or wrong inclinations. Behind all of this is Satan, the evil spirits. And it's the evil spirits that are causing all this mess in the world and causing people to abandon the practice of their faith, to abandon belief in God, so that they can later drag them down into hell and lead many other souls astray. They're having a wonderful time of it. And we're just letting it happen. All that is required for evil to flourish is for a few good men to do nothing. We are that few good men. We need to do more. We need to be more vocal. We need to witness our faith. And yes, we need to grow in personal sanctity and personal holiness. The closer we are to God, the more fully God will be present within us, the more that goodness of God will radiate through us to everyone around us.